This is the Shine On You Crazy Daisy podcast, and I'm your host, Trudy Simmons from the Daisy Chain Group, providing platforms for women entrepreneurs to be seen and heard. This platform is for women entrepreneurs that want to hear the real stories of what it takes to be yourself and run a business with all the different hats that you might have to wear. These are the stories of the tenacious, the rebellious, and the resilient women that are working towards the future that they want to build for themselves and their families. Hello and welcome, and thank you so much to Emily Laflin from Viva Support for joining us today to talk about Shine On You Crazy Daisy and her brilliant chapter in this book about running the Gauntlet, which I love the title of, Emily. Emily, thank you for being here. Please tell us about your business.
So my business is Viva Support, and I am a remote HR assistant supporting mainly freelance HR consultants doing their admin and various bits within their business to help them save time.
Amazing. And what a great niche as well. I love that you've niched down to these things. One of the things that you talked about right at the beginning of your chapter is the fact that opportunity and inspiration collided. How did that happen?
So I absolutely loved the job that I was in. It gave me like a really broad range of things to be able to do in the job. But I was coming back from maternity leave and I had two children that I was taking with me because I worked in a nursery, and my boss at the time wouldn't give me or couldn't give me a parking space on site. So it meant that I had to drive, then get the park and ride with two children. And it just wasn't really feasible. So I decided that instead of just kind of giving up and thinking, well, what am I going to do now? Went out to try and look for a job in HR because that's what I was qualified in. That's what I wanted to do. And there wasn't really any roles that were the right hours, the right money, the right location. So I decided to make my own job. And
Ta-da!
that's where Viva Support was born.
I just love that opportunity and inspiration colliding. How did you go from that to getting your first clients? One of the things that you said is that when you got that first client, that it gave you £1 million in confidence. And I think all of us that have our own businesses understand what that means, but it is such a powerful thing to say. How did you get those first clients?
Yeah, I think within the first sort of few weeks of starting your business, I think you know that you're not going to get clients straight away, but the other part of you hopes that, you know, day one, someone will just land on your doorstep and be begging for your services. And it took, I think, about 4 weeks of me consistently being on my phone in various Facebook groups. And someone just popped up and asked, can someone create an organizational chart? And I just thought, I can do that. And kind of was a bit scared to take it on because it was like the first job. And I think it was worth like 50 quid. It wasn't, you know, a huge amount of money, but it was the job. And I'd been putting off like getting my contracts and my insurance and stuff in place because I obviously didn't want to potentially waste 3 months of insurance or whatever. So that opportunity to take on that client meant that I had to take the next step to getting contracts and insurance and like securing all of those parts of the business, which felt like a huge step because it meant, you know, everything was getting a bit more real. And I think although that job was only worth £50 and it was just a one-off job, it was worth £1 million in confidence because someone was paying me to do what I had set up a whole business to do. And it just meant, well, actually, if one person's paid me to do this, then why wouldn't someone else? And, you know, it just kind of gave me that stepping stone to be able to say to myself, yeah, you can do it. So, yeah.
That's amazing. And I think with the timing of you starting all of this up and with the timing of the book as well, and this coming out, is that we've all been affected with COVID over the last 18 months or more than that now. How has COVID affected your business?
Yeah, it's quite difficult to say whether COVID has had a direct influence on the actual business itself because I only started my business 6 weeks before we got put into lockdown. So I don't really have much of a comparison. I think in terms of actual business, it probably helped because everything went remote. Obviously, my business is around being remote. And also with things like the furlough scheme coming in, HR was just put at the forefront of everyone's mind, and everyone then needed support. They realized the importance of HR in a business. So it meant that all the HR consultants were really busy, which meant that they all needed support. So I think from that point of view, it probably really helped. But obviously from a personal side, it was very difficult. And there was a period of time where no one was spending any money, probably the first sort of 3 months, where everyone was a bit not sure of what was going on. I have 2 small children that at the time were 1 and 3, just at home with me full time, which I never signed up for. And yeah, trying to keep the business going because it had only been going for 6 weeks. I think it gave me something to focus on though, something to keep going, which did really help. But obviously at the same time, it was very difficult trying to entertain 2 children. And then in between nap times and stuff, sort of rushing to do emails and things. But when the kids went back to childcare, I think it was the 1st of June, it was almost like the universe knew that before that I didn't really have that much time to be spending on the business, because from the 1st of June, that's when I got really busy. And that's kind of when things took off and when I suddenly had childcare again. So yeah, I feel like, and I never really thought that way before I had a business. I'm a bit woo-woo or whatever you like to call it. But yeah, I do think that the universe kind of knew that I didn't have the time before. So come June, yeah, it went a bit crazy and then kind of carried on.
So do you think that your business has grown over this pandemic time?
Oh, definitely, yeah, without a doubt. And I think that is to do with the fact that people are more open to remote workers. People don't necessarily want an employee. So having someone like myself who's a virtual assistant, who self-employed, and you can kind of up the hours and reduce them whenever. There's just so much more flexibility, and I think people like that because there's been such uncertain times. People didn't want to employ new people into their business, so it was great to be able to have the support of someone without having the commitment of an employee. So yeah, I think it's really helped.
It has been the weirdest time, obviously, for everybody, but to watch what your business has done and to be able to talk about these things and celebrate them, because that's what a lot of businesses have felt like they can't do, because people have obviously lost their businesses. There's been a lot of suffering, but I'm actually really proud of what you've achieved, and I'm watching the way that you've been able to support and help other people through this, because there's been so many HR questions that have gone about of people really not knowing where to go, and where you've been able to help or direct them or indirectly help HR departments has been a godsend, I have no doubt, to so many people, and it's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, it's obviously been lovely to be able to help people as well, and it's very rewarding, and that's why I love HR as well, because you're helping other people to get what they're entitled to, and you're helping educate employers to know how they should and shouldn't be, and things like well-being and all of that has come to the forefront of everyone's mind. And I think trying to instill that into businesses as well, and everyone's just become a lot more receptive to new ideas, which is great. So helping to sort of implement these new ideas alongside consultants is brilliant.
So what's one lesson that you would want every entrepreneur to know that you've learned?
Consistency. Even when it's tough and you feel like giving up. So like during the first lockdown, obviously with the kids at home, and things did slow down for the sort of first 3 months because people weren't spending any money, and I just kept going. And looking back, I think I don't know why I kept going, because literally I was, there was times when I was literally just hitting a brick wall every single day thinking, why? But then June came, the kids went back, and that consistency massively paid off. And that's like, and by consistency, I mean like showing up every day on social media, even when you don't really feel like it. LinkedIn has been literally priceless in my business. I couldn't have grown my business to how it is today without LinkedIn. And just sort of attending all the free webinars and stuff when I could, even if I didn't really know what they were about, just kind of went along and tried to learn and absorb everything. And
You're right. It is absolutely, it's one of the biggest lessons that we will forget is showing up consistently, because it is, and especially like you were saying, I know that Gillian Jones-Williams talks about this as well when she lost her business at the beginning of COVID, is that feeling of turning up and showing up and being available to your potential clients and your existing clients, because then when they need you, they remember you. And it's so important to do that. So well done you for doing that. What's your favorite business book?
So last year, probably within one of the lockdowns, I think it was, I listened to a book called Life's Golden Ticket. I can't remember who the author is now, but
Brendan Burchard.
That's the one. It's not a business book per se, but it's very relatable, and it's just got a lot of hidden messages and things in it. It's a great book, and I'd really recommend it to anyone.
Fantastic. It's one of my favorites as well, because as you say, it's a fictional story, but you take each of those lessons and apply it to your business and to your life. It's fascinating to read it from both sides as well. Good recommendation.
Good one.
Emily, thank you so much for being involved in the book. Thank you for doing the podcast. And we can't wait to get this out to people far and wide. Thank you, love.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for watching the Shine On You Crazy Daisy podcast. If you've liked what you've seen today, then please make sure that you click the subscribe button to this channel to see more inspiration and motivation as more of these stories keep coming out. And if you want even more, click on the link below this video and go and have a look at the series of books Shine On You Crazy Daisy and get even more inspiration and motivation for you and your business.